We're also going to fight to give much better health care than what you have right now. This is a newer subject, but Obamacare is a disaster. And I said, we're gonna do something about it. I saved Obamacare when we got John McCain's negative vote. You know, he voted against it after campaigning for many, many years. He said, thumbs down. It was an amazing night.
Trump is clueless and dishonest so much, it's hard to tell if he doesn't realize that he just said Obamacare is a disaster right before he said he saved it, or if he's trying to take credit for it while denigrating President Obama to detach his name from it. The mocking of John McCain for actually voting to keep it around is simply par for the course at this point. But former aides under Trump have noticed these inconsistencies too.
It's kind of remarkable. I was watching some of the clips from Trump's visit to Iowa, and I'm stunned, having spent a lot of time with him in 2020 and years before. He is slowing down. There's a lack of sharpness in what he's saying, and a lack of kind of clarity. There's another clip where he basically says he's going to overturn Obamacare, but then also says that he fixed it. Just complete inconsistencies.
I actually don't think Trump's illogical rants about healthcare have to do with him slowing down. It's a theory that gets people's attention since we've got a lot of elected officials that have been caught on camera having elderly moments. But Trump has been having issues conveying sensible points his entire life because it's all based on taking credit for things that work and denying responsibility for things that don't.
The results for Republicans, how much of that will be because of Donald Trump?
Well, I think if they win, I should get all the credit, and if they lose, I should not be blamed at all, okay? But it'll probably be just the opposite.
What might be making this line of attack worse is that it reminds Americans of how Republicans responded to the idea of providing just a chance at a sliver of health care to its citizens. They called people losers and freeloaders, claiming that the emergency room is always available for people's needs as a suitable replacement for a doctor and preventative care. Many states run by Republicans refuse to accept federal funding to expand Medicaid to make the system work for them. And there's still several holdouts to this day. Their policy is to sabotage and destroy anything that's helpful to Americans, then complain about how bad things are to their partisan crowds. But now that enough Americans have experienced even a little bit of health care coverage, hypocritical Republicans are wondering why people like Trump are talking about opposing it again.
Much to the Republican chagrin, Obamacare has proven probably more popular than maybe what they thought. So why bring it up as an election issue when there are so many other things that are currently not going well in the country? Why would Republicans want to bring back up health care unless they have a replacement strategy?
Former Congressman turned Fox News host Trey Gowdy is acting like his party didn't rail on the idea of health care like it was an attack on people's lives. So one of their sensible contributors answered this question with some facts.
They always want to point to Democrats and say this isn't working, but they never have a plan that says our plan is this and this is the plan that would work. Look, pulling health care from people, whether it is 1,000, 1 million, 10 million plus, which we have on Obamacare, is stupid. It's unwise, and I would even argue it's immoral.
Seems like Republicans realize that even though they hate the fact that more Americans now have some form of health care, it'd be political suicide to rail on it the way they did when the Obama administration was pushing for it. But Ron DeSantis, of course, thinks that he can talk his way around advocating to repeal it.
If you were president, would it be your plan to try to repeal and replace Obamacare, something you voted to eliminate 3 times?
Well, you're right. President Trump promised that he would repeal and replace Obamacare, and he didn't do it. And that was a promise that he made a lot of times.
What would you do, Governor? What would you do?
Healthcare costs have continued to go up. Well, but I think it's important to point out he's running on a lot of the things he campaigned on in 2016 and didn't deliver it on. Here's what I will do. What I think you're going to need to do is have a plan that will supersede Obamacare, that will lower prices for people so that they can afford health care, while also making sure that people with pre-existing conditions are protected.
His advisors must have told him that saying he'll supersede Obamacare rather than saying he'll repeal it will fool his voters, but still letting gouging healthcare companies know that he still works for them instead. But when the plan is to destroy it and move on, DeSantis found himself admitting that he has no plan that's beneficial to Americans. So it's the Obamacare battle all over again, just with modified language from Ron DeSantis.
I want to be clear by what you mean by supersede. Do you mean you will move to repeal Obamacare and try to replace it with something else, or will you leave it in place and make revisions?
No. You will have a totally different health care plan.
So you repeal it?
But what
You'll
it will
move
be
to
is
repeal it?
people. So people that will be on things like if they have an exchange plan, we'll have a plan that will offer them coverage. So the coverage will be different and better, but they're still going to be able to be covered. So we want to make sure we have as many people covered as possible at the lowest possible price. So it's going to be, we're going to have a plan. I think it's going to supersede Obamacare. It's going to be much better for people.
I just want to be very clear, though. Are you going to keep Obamacare in place and make revisions to it? Is that your plan? Just to be crystal clear.
This will be replacing Obamacare.
So you'll repeal it and replace it.
We need to have a healthcare plan that works. Obamacare hasn't worked. We are going to replace and supersede with a better plan.